my God, you guys, come and sit down and shut the door. David is officially a suspect. I repeat, David is officially a suspect. It looks like he may be arrested in days. TMZ people are saying may have compromised the investigation. The LAPD may not have wanted that to be out. Listen, whatever's going on, things are moving quickly. If you guys don't know what's going on, David is a popular artist, billions of streams on TikTok, going on tour. He was on his way up, okay? Only problem was he liked him young. Now, he was a young man. Emphasis on the man. His girlfriend, she was 11. It was alleged at the time he met her. They started dating around the time she was 12. She was missing by the time she was 13. And her was found in the trunk of his Tesla, parked in front of his house before she even turned 14 years old. Again, I've said it once and I've said it twice. I've never seen this much evidence. There were live streams of them together, live streams of them looking like living in the same house. His whole team, from the management to everybody, knew about this little girl. She had been reported missing on the National Missing Children's Hotline. Again, I've never seen this much evidence pointing to one person outside of a detective movie. I'm being dead serious. Anyway, it looks like everybody's questions finally were actually answered. And we kept saying, what's going on? Now, there was rumors that she was with child. Coroner's report and said she wasn't. As a matter of fact, she hadn't been pregnant for the last year. People were saying if the body was, that's another thing. The body was heavily decomposed. If the body hasn't been decomposed how could you tell? Because what? It wasn't making sense. Nothing was making sense. Everybody was sitting there. Even I was like, is this an LAPD cover-up? Well, it looks like the LAPD said there is no cover-up. We've been working on this, and there is finally some movement in the case. Listen to this. This is exclusive from TMZ. You know they have super, super, super deep ties to the LAPD. I think this is real, guys. They said David investigators view him as a suspect in Celeste Rivas' apparent homicide, not accidental. Because remember they were trying to say it could have been an accidental death. And we said, how many healthy 14-year-olds pass away accidentally? They said, it might have been an OD. We said, okay, well, if it's an OD, who declared her dead? Who got her the rug? She had multiple fake IDs. Keep in mind that David's career was really taking off. The same month she allegedly went missing, he got this huge mansion. He was going to go overseas, but apparently she can't go overseas if she doesn't have a passport, obviously, and her passport has her age. It was a lot. Anyway, right? And that's another thing. I don't even think she had a passport. I think she had to ask her parents' permission. To get her a passport. And she came from a troubled home. Anyway, let's get into this report. David is viewed as a suspect in the death of Celeste Rivas, the teenager who was found decomposing in his Tesla. Law enforcement sources with direct knowledge tell TMZ if he is a suspect, that means they've told him do not leave the LA area. Also, remember how David hired this huge attorney and people are like, oh my God, no. Remember we said that criminal attorney, no. He has a heavy hitter that he hasn't told anyone about. Again, remember when he transferred all that property to his mama's house? Yeah. They said, as far as we know, there's no paperwork in classifying David as a suspect. But as one of our sources told us, investigators are looking at him as a suspect. We're also told they're viewing Celeste's death as a homicide, even though the medical examiner has yet to determine the cause or manner of death. Investigators are still waiting toxicology reports. Again, okay, so the police are thinking, because one does not stuff a body into a Tesla and leave it so it becomes badly decomposed just because. They also said, one source claims the police investigation revealed that around the spring of 2025, David took a trip in the middle of the night to a remote area of Santa Barbara County and remained there for several hours. We have not double-sourced that information. It's also unclear why the spring trip would be on LAPD's radar. Remember the video he made stuffing in a trunk and actually acted it out? You guys, is David a sociopath? Are there other girls? Why did he do this? For what? Was it just because he wanted to be single? He didn't want to be found out? He thought it'd be ruin his career? I have so many questions, but first we need to make sure that the suspect is arrested. They said David was living in, they said we have not been able to find a photo or video of Celeste since September 2024. David was living in Hollywood Hills in a rental home. Cops searched the property for blood evidence. And his Tesla was abandoned on a nearby street and towed to an impound lot where Celeste's body was later found in the front truck. Okay, it wasn't a nearby street. This was David's house. This was the corner. It was less than 100 feet away. It was basically on the same block. You know what's so weird? So there's a private investigator, Stephen Fisher, that's been like the owner of Celeste's house, of the house that David was renting, hired him to investigate the death of Celeste. And I said, it must be really nice to have that much money that you're just like, I want to know what happens, and you hire a private investigator. But TMZ has been beefing with that private investigator. It's the weirdest thing. And they're going out of their way to talk around it like he didn't break this or he didn't break that. It's the weirdest thing. Anyway, right? They said that Celeste's body was decomposing when it was found in a plastic bag back in early September. And our sources say it looks like the body was blanked up and that the manner in which Celeste was dismembered strongly suggests whoever did it had help from other people. They said it's unclear if cops have any suspects besides him. LAPD told us Monday they are not close to making an arrest. We reached out to David's camp. So far, no word. Yeah, you know, at the end of the day, it's shocking it took so long for them to name him. But now I'm starting to think, because this popped into my head, right? And the only reason I'm reporting is because it's all over media, so we might as well talk about it. Do you think TMZ just jeopardized the LAPD investigation? Because something tells me the LAPD didn't want this information out there just yet. But why? Because why else would they be lying to him about him being a suspect or being investigated for homicide? Again, there is a chance that TMZ got false info, but they usually don't. Not with this. Could it be that they wanted David to think everything was fine so he could get sloppy because they don't have enough evidence? Remember when David's manager posted that thing about my family's been so torn apart, and he didn't even say anything about this little girl that he was like, that just said he didn't even know Dick. Anyway, you guys, listen. This story is breaking. I have so many more questions, but if David's a suspect, then what about everybody else that helped him harbor a runaway? Because there are text messages that leaks, if these text messages are real, that showed that people very close to David's team on the inner circle was aware that Celeste was a runaway, was aware of her age, was aware of a lot. Again, if the LAPD has him as a suspect, this is making a lot of sense. But what I want to know is, what they have the body. Why don't they just get him on circumstantial evidence? Like, what are they waiting for? Unless this is bigger than we all think, and this is some type of ring. I know. You're like, Tisa, stop it. No, I'm being serious. Because the only reason they would not is if they want to see how deep this goes. What was David into? What did everybody know? But at the very least, it looks like we are going to get justice for Celeste very shortly. Anyway, you guys, listen, let me know what you think in the comments. I'm going to try to go live tomorrow. We're going to go over all the evidence, because now that David is officially a suspect, according to TMZ, it looks like we have some movement. But who else is involved? Because I think everybody on his team that knew, they need to be there too. And they need to be answering for this too. Anyway, you guys, let me know what you think in the comments. I'll talk to you later. Bye.